and then go live there. Okay. And before we start, let me just say in the group that we are live so we can get it started. Okay. We are live, and it looks like Hatepu. It looks like I'm assuming these folks it's live from this morning. Yes, yes, yes. We do have folks that are already there, and we will update our banners with what we're reading today in just a little while. Okay. We're live. We are up and going, Ankema. I bet. We'll start with the opening of the way.
And so as we begin every significant thing that we do, we do the opening of the way that was prescribed by our chief elder, Ankh Samaj, Baba Haru Ankh Samaj. So again, we get ourselves situated to face north. You put your left hand slightly forward and your right hand slightly back. Same thing with your left foot slightly forward and your right foot slightly back. And we begin with the word of life, which is Ankh. Take your deep breath. Anetrak in Bahat. Anetrak happy. No happy. Wow, into turn to the right. Anetrak circuit. Nuke circuit. Anetrak
Kepsanu.
Nuke Kepsanu. 2 and
enter.
Turn to your right. Anetrak
Ast.
Nuke
Ast.
Anetrak
Amset.
Nuke Amset. 2
enter.
Turn to your right. Anetrak
neat.
Nuke neat. Anetrak Nuke
Duamutep.
2
enter.
Turn to your right. Anetrak Nuke. Anetrak
Yeah.
Anetrak Nope. Anetrak
Technique.
Nope.
Technique.
2
enter.
Anetrak out.
Out. And through.
Nope. Out. Anetrak and boom. Into. Nope. And boom. Into. 2
enter. Mm.
Wow.
Do I. For that, Hemnetter. Let me try to pull up today's program if I can. Let's see. Well, actually, you all saw that on the page, so I won't pull that up at this time. I'll pull it up on my screen just so I can kind of follow along here. All right. Thank you for the opening of the way. We're going to get started with today's session. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All who are here, who can hear us. We so appreciate all the support and feedback we've been getting. Anke Ma'at, I see we've got our Sin Orokoku Abalafa. We've got Sin Nahisi here. I see Amun Kefra, our Sinet Cortia, and Ampu, Dua. All right, for you all being here. Those are the ones who are with us on YouTube, and we can see that here in the chat. That was the opening of the way brought to us into its current form by our beloved elder, Dwa R Hrw Ankra Semat Sepata. And now it's time for us to give our flowers, as usual. So first and foremost to the ancestors, just as we say in the opening of the way, also to Mbu Interu. That's all the Interu, all the Netaru. Hemnetter and Tepi, the Jed Ma'at Aten Ra, which we know is Intepi Jabari. Of course, beloved Hemnetter Waziri, and all of you. We murder you, we appreciate you, and we appreciate all the support. We also have, actually, we'll wait for the announcements for that. Actually, no, that's a flower. I did not get any announcements, but I do want to say special happy solar return to our Sinette Brittany Motley and our Sinette Cheryl Lee. Those are the birthdays that I did see this week. I've been trying to pay attention to that to make sure everyone receives their flowers while we can give them. That being said, let's go ahead and start by the tradition that I started last week with setting the feather before we get into the sbAyt reading. Setting the feather, we're going to take the 3 cleansing breaths. 1 to clear the mind, 1 to clear the spirit, and 1 to clear the heart. In the 4th breath, we take an inhale, ma'at, and exhale, ifset. We awake to live in ma'at. I align my thoughts, my words, and actions with Ma'at. We are the shrine of Ma'at. So now, without further ado, we are going to get into this sbAyt reading brought to us by our beloved Hemnetter Waziri. This time, I will put up, before we start, I'm going to go ahead and put up the text that we're coming from, which is Spirituality Before Religion. And today we're starting, I want to say, from page 154. Is that correct, Hemnetter?
Yeah, that's correct.
All righty. Okay. And that is where we're coming from. I'm going to share my screen because I now, as I said, we're getting a little bit more tech savvy here. So I'm going to share my screen. And we will be able to read along with Hemnetter. Let's see. You let me know if you can see that, Hemnetter. Can you see the screen?
I see it.
All right. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger if possible. I don't think it will, but we can go ahead and start. Starting where you would like.
All right. I'm looking at supernatural, extraordinary, right above what says through the hall of judgment.
All right. You can go right ahead with that. I'm hoping our highlighter point is where it's supposed to be.
Okay. Supernatural, extraordinary, self-discipline of the materialistic living world of the living world. Through the hall of judgment, the heart soul was defined and refined in its passage through the Amduit. The purification of the heart soul was through was thorough and ruthless, specifically during the passage through the fourth and fifth hour. Finally, the black sun of midnight gave way to the eastern horizon of Amduat. The mummy was re- revivified, and the spirit rose with the newly born sun and transformed into Keper Ra, resurrected as a new sun. In symbolic terms, the journey through the Amduat is a mystical trip that relates not only to the physical death of the body, but also to the spiritual process of transformation, where the living transforms into its conscious spiritual reality. Among the living, the Amduat symbolized the unconscious or deep state mind, where the infinite potential of being is hidden, waiting to be revealed. This consciousness was the hidden life which ascended from the darkness of the Amduat and was exalted as the creative intellectual spirit freed from the bondage of illusion, ignorance, and the body in which it was entombed at conception and birth. What is the Amduat? The Amduat is the judgment hall in the next world where the deceased is judged for their life on earth. We're traveling we're traveling through the symbolic 12 gates or hours on a solar boat. Special key words must be given to the gate timekeepers so that the deceased can continue on to the next gate or hour. Simultaneously, it is the heart, soul, and its four witnesses, the organs, the canopic judge that testifies on behalf of the deceased. The cosmic judgment hall is where the 12 hours of the Amduat analyzes and judges the life of the deceased. It is a place where the ultimate test is administered, the weighing of the deceased heart soul on one scale and the feather of Ma'at on the other scale. The feather was used to represent how fragile truth is. Truth is to be revered and treated with great care. If you hold truth too tight, you will crush it. If you hold truth too lightly, it can be blown out of your hand by the slightest wind. The deceased will be helped by the four sons of Haru containing the canopic jars. Each jar contains one of the four organs, the lungs, the liver, the stomach, or small, large intestines. These essence were allowed to represent and speak on behalf of our body. The Jajet they had they had inhabited, like the witnesses during the trial. Therefore, they searched for the evidence of evil living that might be found written on the record of within the woman man. At judgment time, the body of the book of the body was open, and its records was read by Jehudi, the nectar of knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Jehudi was Maat's mate. He was represented by the ibis bird, cousin to the stork. Jehudi was the male principle of knowledge, understanding, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation that led to the wisdom. Jehudi was the triple gift given to humans through the creative spirit. These gifts are intellect, reason, and language. Intellect is the accumulation of knowledge, information. Understanding knows that it knows knowledge, and wisdom applies analysis, synthesis, and evaluates knowledge. Reason proves wisdom with higher order thinking strategy, that allows neurons in the brain to connect on deeper conscious level. Language transmits intellect and reason to others. Language balances the oral hearing with the oral speaking, vibration frequency. With these three gifts, each person was meant to live a Martian life that after death would save their soul, the Ba, allowing the Ba to be returned back to the cosmic home from where it had originated. The vital organs, such as the stomach, liver, lungs, and intestines, were brought into the judgment process, witnessing how the deceased lived on earth. The other parts of the body that was too decomposed, spoiled, or impaired compromised the quality or efficiency of being able to bear witness, so it was judged to have no purpose and was discarded. The deceased must have lived a righteous life and been just, through truthful, merciful, charitable, and humane. If the heart and soul was condemned to be devoured by the beast Amet because of a very evil life, the deceased bones could not be reconstructed and reunited for a future life. Amet represents the great danger of extinction. Amet challenges the integrity of the deceased heart and soul. This test corresponds with traveling on the solar boat through the 12 underworld hours of the Amduit, reciting the 12 secret words to each of the 12 gatekeepers, which was to gain acceptance into Amenta, the hidden, Amen, land, Ta, Amet crouched under the scales of Ma'at in the judgment hall. She is shown sitting at the feet of Ma'at as the goddess of divine law who weighs the heart soul of the deceased. This female Neter was depicted having the head and body of a lion, with the front legs of a crocodile and the back legs of a hippopotamus. These three animals were regarded by the Kemites as being very destructive and having voracious and insatiable appetite. Amit's function was to devour the heart souls of those who failed to balance the feather of mind in the fourth and fifth hours of night in the thick darkness of the Amduit, the sunken place filled with the heart and souls who have been consumed in the liquid fire emitted from her mouth, forever doomed to live in the lake of fire.
Shay.
Ashe.
Okay, let me get out of there. Okay, start to share. And there we are. All right. Ashe, Ashe, right in line with that. Um, Now, what are your thoughts? I like the three key gifts: intellect, reason, and language. Can you elaborate on those three gifts a little bit?
That's very important because if you tie in when you go to the netter, when we deal with Tahuti and we deal with the fact of judgment and it being weighed against the feather of my, and it says that truth is to be revered and treated with great care. If you hold truth too tight, you will crush it. If you hold truth too lightly, it can be blown out of your hand by the slightest wind. And so,
Absolutely.
and so everything that you do here on this on this earthly realm in the cosmic universe is weighed about. Everything that you do, you think nobody is judging, or nothing is being judged about what you do. So it really comes back to understanding how do you act and what are you doing? And you act like nobody is paying attention or judging what you do. So the fact is, it comes to the point that we and it's being analyzed, and so you have to be careful about what you do and how you treat human beings in this cosmic universe.
That's right. Human beings, the environment, nature, all of the above. It
Yes.
goes to the saying, you reap what you sow, and what you put out, you will return to you, sometimes tenfold or equally. Um, it's said in so many ways, a cosmic order, divine order of ebb and flow of things. You know what I mean? We can do things and think that they're in secret, just like the hidden one, and they will come to the light. You can't, who can you hide from? Who can you pretend from? You can't hide from yourself because you know that you've done this thing or these things. And if you have a guilty spirit about it, then you know consciously that you're being weighed. Any form of guilt or regret from doing a thing or saying a thing, and that applies to all those areas: what we think, what we say, and what we do. Do they measure up in truth? And is truth present even when no one is looking? Because someone's always looking. You're the looker. You're the one that is either thinking, speaking, or saying, or doing those truths. So if we are to become Dwa R Hrw, true of voice, at the end of the day, if we have not been true of voice, we internally know that we have not been true of voice. So that will come to light. The things that we say to people, the things that we do to people, the things that we do in the environment, the things that how we treat nature in that, that aspect, the things that we even read, the things that we listen to, shows and TV things, are they of truth? Is it true? Does it promote truth? Does it promote those things? And then reason, what it says as far as the concept of reason. Let's go back to that portion. If you would repeat the reading on reason, because those three gifts, it says truth is to be held in high regard and one of the most important. And that the gifts that we were given were intellect, reason, and language. Here we are. Let's see. There it is. Reason provide, well, with intellect, the accumulation of knowledge, information, understanding, knows that it knows knowledge, and wisdom applies, analyzes, synthesizes, and evaluates knowledge. Reason provides wisdom with higher order thinking, strategies to allow neurons in the brain to connect on a deeper conscious levels. And then language transmits the intellect and reason to others. So the intellect, which is the accumulation of knowledge and understanding that we gain here, provides wisdom with the higher order of thinking and strategies that allow the neuron in the brain to connect on a deeper conscious level. And then we have language, which transmits intellect and knowledge into and reason into others. Language balances the oral hearing with the oral speaking vibrational frequencies. And with these three gifts, each person was meant to live a Ma'atian life. That after death would save their soul, allowing the Ba to be returned back into the cosmic home from where it had originated. So even in the codes of this text itself, we see intellect, reason, and language. And we are all searching for our way home. And with those three things, again, what we think, what we know, what we learn, how we use that knowledge that we've gained and put that information to a higher purpose so that we are on a higher conscious level, and then we transmit that information. Those three gifts even apply to what was said about truth. You have people who have the knowledge, but are they speaking truth? Are they finding those two things together, the reason and intellect, to speak a truthful language? Because whatever we speak, is it true? Even if it's true to us, is it true? Which is even, we see this in the so-called conscious community where so many people have so much information, but the battle is who's truth or truer, whose truth is the truest, versus collectively bringing sources together and finding a way to apply that truth, that knowledge, and coming up with not creating a new language, but just using the metaphors here: intellect, reason, and language. Multiple forms of information collectively together, in unison together, providing reason with all of that information, creating a space of reason and analyzing and synthesizing of that information that each faculty, let's say, for instance, if it's a group of us and we're like-minded, we're all kemetic practitioners, but you studied this and this one studied that and this one studied that. It doesn't make what each person has to bring to the table true or untrue. It means you have collective knowledge. And now what do you do with that collective knowledge? You put it together and you find reason. From that medium of reason, you can then come up with the language. And I don't mean in terms of creating a new language. That is, you've now analyzed and synthesized the information that you have, computed it, in other words. Now you can speak what you've come up with as a language that's attainable, that's understandable, that's able to be said on a level where the basic mind who may not think like you can understand it. And that's how you can apply what Kaba here is saying and what we do every day. I know that most of us see this all the time. We have different schools of thought, and everyone's pulling out their text, but truly what we're doing is reciting what someone else has written. So collectively, you find a medium, you analyze it, you synthesize it, and you come up with reason. Out of that, you come up with a language, what you shall speak. And that's how I can analyze the reading that you have said today as it applies to us in the modern times, trying to revive an ancient way of life or ideology.
And this here really connects to the fact of opening of the way, and the fact that we have the analyze, the synthesize, and evaluate the knowledge, and so it connects to the factor of language, balancing the oral with the oral hearing with the oral speaking, vibrations, frequencies. With these three gifts, the intellect, the reason, and language, is so important to connect those things together and,
It's right.
and live the Ma'atian life as we work through the whole of judgment. The I'm
That's
doing
right.
is so important. And so
You
and
got
so
that right.
and so if we go back and look at the image, I don't know if you can find that image of the judgment scene. And
I
so
should
we,
be
we,
able
we have the scales, and you have Amit waiting to get the okay from the Houthi as the scales are being weighed, and to swallow the heart is so important.
I'm not sure if that you can see that well.
Yeah,
Let's see.
I see it there. That's right. And there's the Amit right there, and there's Jehudi.
Huti there,
Hmm.
and I see yes, he's over there taking the record,
That's true. That's right. That's right.
and then we have Amit right there, and this would be is this Heru
Yes.
guiding this, and it looks like he's bringing a woman into the duat here,
Right.
and we see there the let's see, let's get a little bit closer. I should have some more light in here. Here is the judges here,
Right.
and here is the baboon that's at the top of the scale. We
Hmm.
have, let's see, I think I got it a little covered up. There we go. It's a little bit better. You see the whole thing. He's got the heart, though, or the feather there in his hand, and then we also have Ma'at, the goddess there, the Netert, sitting actually in the, there she is, sitting in one of the scales. And then you have the symbol for the Av, the heart here. So that is the scene there.
That's true.
And then he's over here to Houthi. He's taking record there. I'm not sure if you guys sure how am I holding that. Yeah, you can see him right there. There's that judgment scene, the famous judgment scene. And I found it, I've had that one for years, but because there was a woman being led through the Dawat, I felt that that was fitting, you know. But symbolically, thinking, you know, we at some point all of us are gonna depart from this land. We all know that. Um, so I think that as we continue to revive the legacy of Ma'at, um, as a shrine, as your own person, even as the shrine of your own heart. I think that we have to take into account that we don't live in ancient times, that we do not live in ancient Kemet. We're reviving, we're reviving a legacy that's based out of an Afro-centered mindset and ideology and aspect. Now we know that we can already understand that Kemet was African before there was any Egypt, before there was, you know, before there was anything else. So we no longer need to spend more time with that statement. Collectively, as revivalists of this legacy, it is our obligation, it is our duty to revive it in such a way that we can all travel. That when we meet this time, we won't necessarily confess what Ani has confessed. Then again, you might. But confessing those confessions doesn't mean that your transgressions or deeds were those of what happened in ancient times. Can you walk through the halls and say, I have lived my best in truth? I've carried my heart in my heart. I've thought my art, I've spoken my art, and I've acted in my art. Because without truth, even if nobody knows you're lying, somebody does, you do. If you're not even the word lie, because it's being untrue means way more than telling the lie. When you get there, None of us, none of your grandparents, your wives, your kids, your grandkids, friends may ever know your transgressions. None of you will probably ever know mine, but I do. So if you, it's almost like looking in the mirror and saying that I don't, whatever it is that I do, I'm looking at me. Who can you hide from at that point? Which is what symbolically we're doing here. We are looking at the aspects of our lives and weighing ourselves. You can't convince yourself that you are Dwa R Hrw if you are not. If you have not been true of voice in this life, if you have not utilized those three gifts, intellect, reason, language, if you have not held truth, justice, reciprocity, harmony, balance, all of those things in high esteem. And trust me when I tell you, God has way more faculties than just those seven. But as African centered people, it helps us to make it more attainable, to digest it in a way that we can utilize this in our everyday lives. And truth trumps all of it. Because if you're not thinking in truth, you're not going to speak in truth and you're not going to act in truth. Then Ifset has taken control of that intellect. Some people learn a lot of things just so that they can utilize it for chaotic purposes. And what you do on the outside of yourself is truly how you feel about yourself on the inside, if it is untrue. None of us are all knowing. Nobody knows anything until the thing is actually known. And you can't know a thing until you've completed the thing. And in this thing that we call life, it is uncompletable. So with that, I will say I digress on that on the topic, but I do again, I think that every week when Himnetter comes with what he's going to bring and what we're going to discuss and all of that, I think it's so important because it always seems to be aligned with my art. It's always something about what's going on that week or what's been happening, and it's not just what's happening with me or with what's happening with him. It's happening everywhere. And it doesn't mean it makes something good or bad. It just piques the interest that we are on the right track. We are literally following these pebbles that the ancestors have left us to find our way home. Um, we implement certain rituals and things like that so that we can stay spiritually grounded, so that we can keep a high level of spiritual vibration along with our everyday doings, because we're not together every day. We're not here every day, but carrying these principles, these not even principles, but moral ethics in our everyday lives helps us to continue on the path and not just be part-timers, part-time true. We can't just be true of voice on Sundays or when we're reading a text or when you're having a debate or when you're doing something that is related to the kemetic practice. True of voice means true of voice all the way around. So I think that it's very, very important that we continue to read the information that has been put out there. Some of the information, some of these scholars have done extensive work, and many of you have too. But we have to dig in. We have to decode. We have to become more intellectual so that we can come up with reason and then a balanced language for all of us, just as those three gifts insinuate. That was wonderful. Great, great, great. Now, we are going to move into him. Netter, do you have anything else to add to the sbAyt reading today?
Yeah, I like to point out that as I began, it said, in symbolic terms, the journey through Amduit is a mystical trip that relates not only to the physical death of the body, but also to the spiritual process of transformation, where the living transforms into its conscious spiritual reality. That's so powerful, and you might miss it, but among the living, the Amduit was symbolized. Well, the Amduit symbolized the unconscious or deep state mind where the infinite potential of being is hidden, waiting to be revealed. So,
Mm,
when we deal with that spirituality before religion, so it's important to understand that what Kaaba is trying to do is bring us forth to overcome what we are dealing with the reality, and overcome that and get connected to the spiritual sense. So people
mm-hmm.
say, well, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, but what does that mean? So it's important to understand that. So definitely you overcoming religion, but are you getting into the spirituality? Are you getting into the spirit and knowing what that is so important. Getting into the deep state of mind where the infinite potential of being is hidden, is hidden. Amen. And so connecting the Amen and overcoming the Amen and being able to get into the consciousness of it. It's so important to overcome. This is a powerful read, and
Absolutely.
I definitely suggest for everyone to get a chance to reread. So I know in the internet is on page, you got page 154, but the physical read is page 153 to 155. So take the time to really understand.
Absolutely. Definitely go back and, reread and again, the intellect, just like we're talking about. Make sure you can understand and find reason in what Kaba is saying here because it's very important, and that commends so many of the African-centered scholars who have done things like Kaba has done, and there are many of them. They have put together, again, I call it like a revival of the legacy because they've made it in a level that we can understand, and that's intellect. So when they did their studies and they brought forth this information, these books, these the different things like spirituality before religion, it is helping someone who has only seen Western ideology. The breakaway is really hard, even though you know you're breaking away. It's just like you just said, Hemnetter. Um, you still have to really understand what it means, like you said, to be spiritual and not religious. You know, so I think it's important that you go back and you read exactly what we read today, and find your own interpretation. And the medium is so that you can, not your own interpretation, but make sure that you understand it. Number one of those gifts, intellect, gaining the understanding, wisdom, knowledge, understanding. So I think that is very important as well. It's just like you said, that deep state of mind. All right, that was wonderful, wonderful. Dua and Ashe, Dua Natur, for leading you to the reading as always. How you do that? I think that's wonderful. Now we'll move on to our next section. We did not have any announcements for the week besides the birthdays that I mentioned. I asked if anyone had any prayer requests, but I did not get any prayer requests this week. I will say that I am sending divine energy to our members in any IFSET that may be on the rise or even at bay. I hope that anything that anyone feels that they can utilize their intellect and make it right. If there's anything wrong, if there is. Now I will say, last week I also started the balancing of the scales, and I think we spoke about truth last week. So let me grab my scale. It'll be a different idea today. If you all had a chance to see the flyer or whatever you want to call it, I say flyer, I guess. I will show again my scale, and I'm going to sit it down. And of course, this is symbolic. Last week we talked about truth. This week it's going to be reciprocity. So let's think for a minute. Even close your eyes and lay Ma'at's feather on your heart. We know that reciprocity is about give and take. It's not give and take, it's give and receive, both to ourselves and unto others. Think about this past week and think to yourself, where have you given too little or taken too much? Where have you not received what you are equally due? What you put out, you will receive. We all know that. That is one of the most powerful universal laws. Reap what you sow. Reciprocity. If you're given ifset, at some point ifset will be returned unto you. If you are given truth and love and sincerity from a true place, a place of Dwa R Hrw, then you will have it. You'll receive it. It's just that simple. So I ask the Netaru to balance all of our hearts. Let us weigh our burdens down and may our hearts be light as that feather that is laying on our heart right now, because technically we are the scale. We're holding the feather and the ot and the ab. We are, the left hand is one and the right hand is the other. We are double truths. We have the ability to rebalance them. I can't balance them for you. When it is my turn to go to that hall, I can't vouch for you. I can't say that so and so did so and so. You can't vouch for me. So we have to be accountable for ourselves. And when we hold that feather in the right and the heart in the left, which way is it leaning? And it's not something for you all to answer me. It's just a thought provoking for each of us, even for myself. I don't pretend to be any divine being getting messages, and to those that do, bless you. Keep on getting those visions. We might need those. But for ourselves, at the end of the day, when you close your eyes, like I said before, no matter who's laying next to you or who's not, are you okay with the person that you've been today? Have you restored what needed to be restored before you close your eyes? Yes, that's right. We are good and evil. But it depends on how you look at evil, because I don't believe that we need to bury or get rid of ifset. It just needs to be in balance. We're given that aspect for a reason. That faculty is useful. So we're both. And just like Westerns say, they've got the God and the devil. We are both the God and the devil. But we have the opportunity to choose which one will be in control. And a true self means you're in control of that, and that you understand that, and you can utilize any of those faculties necessary. You can invoke any of those aspects of the Netaru, even ifset, when necessary. One of the 242 confessions says, I have not judged wrathfully, or I have not acted wrathfully without just cause. So there's times when sbAyt needs to be in power. Chaos needs to happen. There are times. But ebb and flow, the balance of those things. So just reflect on last week on reciprocity. What you've given, what you've received. Too little, too much, to yourself, to others. If it's family, spend more time this week, because the following week you may wish you would have. Somebody might not be here. May wish you would have spent more time, or you may wish you would have said this. You may wish you would have said that, or thought this, or thought that. I urge you to surroge that within yourself and with anybody, or even nature. Maybe you feel bad for throwing trash on the ground. Well, go clean up something this week. Restore it. As long as you have the opportunity to do so. Restore it. Saruj Ma'at. With that, I digress. We do have an open floor that we are going to start. And guys, we're not going to spend much time on this. Not that I don't want to give attention to it, but this is Sunday. I don't want to keep you guys too long. Me and him, Netter, I did discuss it with him beforehand. Number one, first, before I pose the question and invite some folks on here, I want to say that we don't debate here. This is not about debates. It's about discussion. And I definitely would love to give the opportunity to folks to discuss, and any questions, then we can all find sources, look at the text and find it out and come back to it once we have done so. So the question for today, we had a brother, and I'm going to see if I can figure out how to put the link in the chat here. Let's see. Here we go. I'm going to put the link here in this chat, if I can figure out how to do so. If I can figure it out. Maybe, I'll put it on the screen. That's what I could do. That's what I could do. Y'all know I'm still learning this stuff, right? Getting there, though. Getting there. Here's going to be the link. Now, the question, before I even put the link in the chat. Question is, this is in reference to the 42. So we got, I want to say it's about 2 questions. I'm going to bring the 2 brothers on that were having a discussion in reference to this and see what they have to say. And then we will open the floor to anyone that may want to either come in or even just comment, and we'll div. But if you do come in, you are going to be respectful. We are the Shrine of Ma'at. Everything that we do is out of love and mirth. And you'll have like maybe 1 minute to state your piece. Here is the StreamYard link. So the question is, are the so-called 42, and when he comes in, he can correct me if I'm wrong about the verbiage of the question, but the so-called 42 laws of Ma'at, written as negative confessions, or were they written as declarations of innocence, and where were they found? We're going to stay the course and only speak about this topic. We're not going to go into the opening of the way and other things today. We can have a different topic every week to discuss. But today the question is it written as the negative confessions or the declarations of innocence? And where are they stated? So there's the link for anybody that would like to come on. While we're waiting to see if anybody does want to join here, I am going to pull out the sources that I have found, what I actually found for myself after looking at the questions yesterday. So in the Rayu Pert Hrw, which is the copy that many of us in the shrine should have, I also have the copy of Baba Hrw. Let me just grab that. So I do have, this one is my study guide. As you can see, there's clips, there's this, that, and the other. This one I do not write in. Same copy, but it was illustrated by Dwa R Hrw. He signed it. I don't do anything with this because our elder is an elder, and I would hate for anything to happen to this one. That's more of a keepsake for me. This one is the study guide. Same book, same edition, Dover edition. This one is the Wallace Budge, Dover edition. So what I found, as far as if in fact it's written as, there we go, we've got Pooh coming in there. If in fact this is just my findings. And again, I don't pretend to be a knower of things. I just research, questions are posed. I like history. I don't debate. I'm not somebody who looks to prove whose truth is truer or what. Question was asked. So if you have the Dwa R Hrw, this version, I would urge you to turn to page 344. Let me see, actually, it's 346. If you go to 346 and 347, you will actually see in the text. Now, where I have this actual, I'll show you this in a moment too, but on page 347, you'll see chapter CXX5, which is chapter 125. Below that, you'll see the text says negative confession. So here, page 347, the Dover edition, I'll show you that again. Just want to let you know which edition and which year and all of that. This is the E.A. Wallace Budge, the late keeper of Assyrian and Egyptian antiquities in the British Museum, the Dover Publications in Garden City, New York. So it's this version. That same one that you got in your hand. And if you go to 347, you will see it state text negative confessions. Now, I have also found that there are at least 3, if not more, versions of the so-called Book of the Dead. There is the version, let's see, which I don't have those versions, but I actually wrote my little notes on here. There are 2 other versions by Allen, I want to say. Actually, I can pull it up right here. I ain't got to show it if you guys don't want, but I'm just letting you know my findings before I bring the brother on here. Here it is. Okay. Here we are. All right. So two other versions list them as declarations of innocence. And I'm just trying to tell you their names so that so in this book that we have, chapter 125, page 347, they are shown as the negative confessions. Come on, silly, why are you not scrolling over? Oh, there it is right there. It was Raymond Faulkner in the Book of the Dead, 1972, often refers to them as declarations of innocence. Then we have Thomas George Allen, who did Going Forth by Day. He labels them as declarations of innocence as well. All right, now let me just get back to you guys so I can get our brother on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and add you. I'm Pooh in just a moment. If you don't, well, I don't see you there for me to add you to the screen. I see you in the stage room, so maybe he's doing something, but I don't see me. Oh, there we go. Add to the stage. All right, he's not there. Maybe he'll come back, and then we'll have the other brother in there. So I did find that those two, there are two words or two statements used for that. Yeah, I don't see you. Or Koku? Let's see. Okay.
Patel, Patel. My bad. I'm
Hatep.
moving around.
It's all right. All right. Hatep, welcome. Ankamaat. Ampu. Sin Ampu. I was just saying the question, and if I have mistaken the question, please correct me. But from what I understand, it was, are the so-called 42 listed as negative confessions or declarations of innocence? Is that correct?
Not it's not really my question. I guess it's
Oh,
really, yeah, it's really Sin Obalafia's question. So
okay, that's what I thought. Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah. So he came to me to ask if, so the question is really is not if they're referred to by other people as that, but is it word is there a word for word translation as that,
gotcha.
listing that as that, um like, is the words ninjed or jin nin medu, right, or something like, or um hepu, in ma'at, right, laws of ma'at is not really a translation for that as that. Well, it's not a metametric term for that. What it is really a utterance. So it's really not even, that's really just half of the chapter
Right.
of the utterance. So of course there is a hymn that is the what you're supposed to say coming forth into the Useket, the hall of Ma'ati, right? The hall of
Mm-hmm.
two Ma'ats. And then you go through that, and then there's a hymn afterwards. So
Mm-hmm.
but there is no metanetra term for the quote unquote negative perfection, that section. That
Right.
is just a referencing term. So I think, but yeah, it
So
really wasn't really my question.
okay, okay. I might have misunderstood the actual question then. I thought that he just asked, was it written in the text? Negative confession.
And
Now,
I thought he was gonna come on, but
well, he said
I
he
think
was.
yeah. So,
I
and I think his other point, I think, was that, are they like are they, were they like laws, or maybe, or was it or were they like laws or moral principles? Essentially, is his other, I guess, is the other question he
question.
had.
All right. I
Yeah.
think he was just calling me, and what I found on that, I'm gonna try to see if. See, I'll put it here. I put it. I see he's there and he's trying to get on somehow, but he's not coming on. I'll put the link here too. Send. Hold up. So with that, there I now I could be wrong, but I've not found any evidence whatsoever stating that these are laws or even, so to speak, principles. Um, it doesn't look like they use those terms as law or principle.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
I think it's not it's not um even just the, it's just a what it is not a word for word association of that categorization by the Aku, um
mhm,
by the ancestors. But it's just, okay, what do we associate that with? So and so what is it for? So as we look through the text, through the perp, right, which is essentially just the book of utterances that your himka, your funerary priest, or your emu, your carry head, your priest, your funerary priest that's over your funeral, um
mhm,
does in place, in your place, while you die. Of course, it's helpful to know there are some passages that'll tell you that you do these such things in life, and
right,
it'll be good for you. Um
right.
and they'll verbally let you know that. Um but
Here we go.
you do have But so it's just that collection of utterances that help a person get through these different stages. If they,
Absolutely.
in case they don't know it. Um, so for example, you have an ancestor that just recently passed. Of course, they 9 times out of 10 probably don't practice. Um, and you would still like them to be a efficient ancestor and do things for you. You would essentially theoretically have to go through this. You would go through the text and replace their name with Ani.
With
Will
that
replace
name.
Ani's name. Yeah, with Ani, with the ancestor's
Right.
name. Right.
And it would
And
be the
so
officiator that's escorting them through the Dua or the hall of double
yes, you
truths.
would be
Got it.
yes, and you are functioning as Jehuti in their place
Right.
in that instance. Um, being the person who's Sama'akiru, who makes the ancestor true a voice. Um, and so when you go into the hall of Ma'at, the double halls, um, yeah, it's really just the not even like all of the general taboos because of course they're throughout the many different hundreds of different per rules that you have. um there are variances. There are some that you have that's what there are different ones from different people.
Mm-hmm.
um
This is
and
particularly
so
here the one of Ani.
yeah, so you have
Mhm.
like for example, you have Anis, but you have Anis, you have Unefers, you have Hunefer, you have Mahepri, you have Nepsini,
Yes,
you
that.
have
Mm-hmm.
you have there's a whole corpus. It's
Right.
hundreds, right?
Right.
And so each one is not a standard, 40, quote unquote 42. Um, but they just generally act as the things um that represent those aspects of Isfet, or taboos that or jute that people would generally do. Of
Right.
course, there are some of course you have Netru that have their own taboos that you also have to abide by those as well, and et cetera, et cetera. But, but yeah, that's pretty much what I was explaining to him. Really, it's just that's what really that is. Not really
Now,
a like a law,
got
but
it. Right.
yeah. So,
And then
mhm,
the concept of 42 laws of Ma'at, what I found it to be is a 20th century Afro-centered perspective of how pretty much modern African Americans utilize them as laws. They have called them laws, they've called them principles, they've called them
right,
such. Um,
hmm right,
and
right,
even with the seven principles, core principles, so to speak, that we often refer to of Ma'at, there's no ancient text that bases anything off of seven core principles. Ma'at has lots of faculties,
yep,
11 of which I could find, but I know that there's a lot more than that. Even the text will tell you that the aspects of Ma'at are unnumbered, but there are cores. Some folks will say that there are 11, some are 12, but there is not a number of principles that we can confirm that Ma'at holds. It is more Afrocentric to go with those seven because, like,
hmm
what's his name, Karanga, and quite a few of the other ones who I consider to be revivalists of the kemetic thought have come up with, even like Muada Ashby, Ra'u Nefer, different people who have come up with things I believe to be more attainable, reachable, and teachable to our folks. So that gives us core things that are, so to speak, easily attainable for folks who are trying to step into the knowledge in the basic way of Ma'at itself, speaking in terms of
right,
Ma'at. But they are not in the text of ancient writings that there are seven principles, that there are 42 laws. In fact, when you read the 42 confessions, declarations of innocence, how whatever per imheru you're reading, these are the doings and the deeds of that person that is deceased. A lot of them are basic ethical codes that we should live by, but there is nothing that states that those are the things that we should live by because that person's life saying what they've done or didn't do.
Hmm.
When we go into our own hall and the double truths, our papyri should reflect on what we ourselves have done and didn't do. We wouldn't be burned. There's a lot of ancient things that we wouldn't even be doing here in modern times. So, wouldn't it be wise for our dids and didn't do's to be reflected upon what each of us have and have not done?
I'll give my eye.
Look at my eye. Look at my eye.
There you
You
go.
got in here. Thank you. There you go. Yes, yes.
I love to. I want to move quick.
I'm gonna mute us so that we can hear you good because I can't hear you breaking up.
You hear me well? I had to pick my phone up. Okay, I can't hear you, but I want to restate my position and what I originally meant. My sound cut off. I'm guessing you muted me. Do you hear me? Okay, I can't hear you, but I'm just gonna talk.
Yeah, we hear you. Yeah, we hear you.
We
Great,
hear you. We just muted. So because we muted ourselves so that just so it would be we could hear you good.
great. So my position was in this community, African traditional. Some people say Afrocentric. Although that term has gained a lot of mainstream popularity. Afrocentric can mean you have a dashiki on and you have a name, right? So being African traditionalist and our tradition being excellence, I've heard a lot of people say negative confessions as of recently. I know Budge came up with that translation. Budge is not law. What's law is the Medunetzer. So when we begin to translate it on our own as African people, we have to interpret it properly. That's what I believe this shrine is about. Now, I understand people might be parts of other groups, but this particular group is centered on traditions from Africa and reclaiming them as any people does. Chinese people reclaim Chinese traditions and they see it the way that it fits now. So my question to the brother, because he's an expert in Meduneta, is if the word negative is there. The word negative confession sounds like Catholic Church. Budge was probably a Christian. So when he spoke from the mindset of this sounds like Catholic Church confessing negative things. All the scholars I know, young and old, I'm 50, there's scholars younger than me. In this tradition that I scribes, we don't use the term negative confession. And I think as initiates, we have to step it up. We can't go online and read information and then share it. That's what uninitiates do. So as initiates, we have to be sharp. We have to spend money on books and read. And if you're not reading, open up your ears to the ones who are reading and doing the work. So my original question, and I think I might have been answered already, is the word negative there in the Dwa R Hrw? And I believe it is not. So we really don't have to use it unless Budge is your right hand man and you want to stick to Budge. Budge is just someone who made a lot of translations, but later on they fixed it and they said he's biased. So my first question, I think that was answered, does this say negative in the text, Brother Ampu?
Yeah, no, it doesn't say negative sayings, negative. It doesn't have anything about sayings or negative anything about that regarding to that section.
Okay. So respectfully, with that, it's a choice. People
Well,
choose to say negative confessions for whatever
yeah,
the
yeah, people. That's just the term that people choose to use. Yes.
If I could chime in
So
for a minute,
really,
I agree.
if you want to be correct, so if you want to be correct, um, you want to be correct. With the utterance of it would be
I'm looking at it there.
so. The name of the utterance is. That's probably why they coined it that, because that section in itself doesn't have a well, actually it says right here. So it's to be said when coming to the hall of the double
The double
ma'ati
Monty.
of separating the two taboo, separating you from the taboo of all taboos, that which you have done, that every nature sees, um yeah, that every nature sees. So yeah, that's essentially the entire thing from the him before, and then the utterance that you do. So that's the name of the utterance. So again, it's the words that are said that come forth from the hall of the Ma'ati, separating you from all taboos that you have done, that every nature sees, and then you proceed with the hymn.
Now, I agree. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, a little
Um,
bit.
oh, maybe my volume. Let me see. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
There we go. I don't know if I'm turning you up or down. I don't know. But yes, I agree with that. Because of the back of that book saying negative confessions, literally it's in this book, but that does not mean it's written in the text. If you look through all of the text, when Budge even names the Netaru, such as Tahuti and Asar and Nib, you will see that he puts the Greek name under it, yet the sign shows you the accurate name, and it's stated there. He will place the word Osiris, but above it you see it clearly say Asar, and the sign means Asar. So when we interpret these things, there's no ancient Kemetic text that indicates that they seen these things as negative. Period. That's what's written. So in order to state what's actually verbatim, word for word written in this book, not per se the actual Medu Neter of it, but what's actually in the text, that's what it states. It does state that in the appendix or the translation that he promoted. We definitely have to understand that all texts that we are utilizing that was written by a Greek or a Tamahu or someone that has so-called deciphered our codes, we do have to step with caution. So once you see what which I agree, I don't disagree one bit with what either of you are saying. We have to understand that, but we cannot spend a lot of time with the debunking. We know that this wasn't written by us. We know this. We know that for a fact. We know that majority of these were not. We didn't have any input. So utilizing what we can use, we do need to come to a consensus of what we will say, what we shall say, how we. I don't consider them negative confessions either, but that's what's printed in the book. That's not what's written in Metanetra, just like Ampu just said. So keeping in mind that these are translations that this man made, that does not mean that we're supposed to say these are the negative confessions of Ma'at. In fact, they're not confessions of Ma'at at all. They're not laws of Ma'at at all. They are spoken in the hall of Ma'ati.
That's my second question.
The only thing that applies to Ma'at is that Ma'at's feather is being weighed against your heart. Ma'at is the neter of law and order, not law, if we're going to be correct, because they don't use that term law.
That
Yeah,
was
they do. No, no, they use the term. She is the decorative law. Jehuti is neb hepu. So they do use law. They just don't use it
In a
in
sense
referring to that.
of
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. and
yeah.
and we often even call it, we even hear, modernites call it 42 laws of Ma'at, when those laws are not laws, number one. Number two, they really don't apply to Ma'at. They apply to this person who is deceased, what they did and didn't do. The only thing that's applying to Ma'at in this sense is that you're in the hall of Ma'ati, which is double truth. The word Ma'at itself is truth, you know.
Well,
And then
yes.
her
I mean,
feather,
I
her.
guess.
I'm not saying that not, this isn't even. I'm just saying when you go into that
Yeah,
with understanding, it is not stated that they are. They don't even say confessions of Ma'at.
yeah.
These
No,
are the
no. It's
things,
just
like you said, these are the things
it's
spoken
the thing.
in the
Yep,
in the Hall of Ma'ati.
yep. Halamati to separate you from your taboos that you have done, and then so there's literally they're literally the purpose of it right there in the text. or if you want to shorten it, you can even shorten it. It's they categorize it when you look for it. If you don't have the perk, you just want to Google it. You will get a good sources with you may even really like your first couple of Google sources that'll pop up will be with the transliteration if you just type in Book of the Dead, um spell or utterance 125, and
125. Mhm.
it'll pull right on up.
Got it. Well, great conversation. Now, as this applies to our shrine and what we do here on Sundays, again, I appreciate that, Senator Nahisi, because you're right about that. But there were some questions that some folks wanted to discuss in reference to that, and I definitely agree with that because it's not. This is not anything of low vibrational sustenance here on our weekly sessions of adoration. And there will be for these two brothers here. I actually encourage and charge you both with creating a platform to have these open discussions and topics because I think that we should, within our shrine, be able to decipher, decode, and do just that because it's important. And I think that the knowledge that
My still
many of you
connected.
have to bring to the table. Yes, you're still here. You're still here. The knowledge that so many of you all have, we can definitely come up with some topics of discussion. I don't want to do
Mnetcha, can
them
you hear
on
me? I see
our.
you looking.
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Is
don't want to.
Sinet is timed out for a second?
No, I'm still here. I'm still here. But what I'm saying is I don't want to have our days of adoration become a form of debate or discussion. But I did want to address the question that was made. You understand? So I really appreciate that, and I really it just what it does for us. It shows that you all are watching, you all are supporting, you all are here, and I think that number one we mirror that, and I think that at any time there is because we're not having formal sbAyt like we used to, we will eventually. I think that these topics are absolutely wonderful, and I think that we should certainly come up with a weekly discussion such as this. I really do. And if you two don't oppose to that, I'm all for it. And find out what our members come up with in researching and finding answers to a lot of these things. I think is great. And I appreciate that you guys reached out to me for it. You know what I mean? I really do. And again, I think that everything that we do here on this time for our Sunday mornings is more of praise and adoration. But it doesn't mean it's not closed to discussion. So I think that this was wonderful. Just like I brought a brother in last week because I wanted to show our shrine what he's doing. To me, this out absolutely puts the spotlight on you two for the work that you're doing. And I hope that this isn't a one-time thing, that you'll continue to do it. And I will definitely be in full support of it because this is important as well.
So,
Mm.
Um,
so brother
oh,
Shinka, so Shinka, the brother had his hand up for another question.
oh, yes. I can hear you. Are you there?
Yes.
Oh, which one? Either one
Oh,
of you. Either one of you guys.
yes. I get. I said send the he said don't have to. I can give. So I was gonna give. Not leave without giving some devotion. Um.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what the closing is for
Exactly.
too.
So yeah, I wasn't gonna leave without doing this little something. So I wanted to do one of the awakening hymns. Um. That anybody could do and apply to their own shrine. Of course, I do it in meditation than in English. So normally I get a lot. I pair this with a libation, and if you do have a system, I use that as well. So, um, so essentially, it's Reseg Nefer Imhotep Ma'at. So since it's the shrine of Ma'at, we'll do Hoop Ma'at. Um, Reseg Nefer Ma'at Im Hoop Ma'at Reseg Atep to Emu R U Per U Netradu Netradet MES of the temple, and the Netru and the Netradet who were in it. And so this is continual awakening. So awaken, Netradu Netradet, who were in Iunu, Netradu Netradet, Emu Waset, Netradu Netradet, Emu Hu Kapata, Netradu Netradet, Emu Resi, Maheti, Imameti, Iabeti, Resek Nefa Resek Nefa Imbatep, Res, Netradu Netradet, Emu Ta, Resek Netradu Netradet, Emu Pet, Netradu Netradet, Emu Duwat, Resek Netradu Netradet, Emu Aketi, and then Nesu Mesu, Sheshep, Hedjet, Idi, Pen, Ma'at, M Hoop Ma'at, Resek Ateptu, Resek Tenu. And so, in other words, we giving those adorations and libations and awakenings to the Neteru who were in Iunu, Cleopolis, Waset, Thebes, who Kapata, Memphis, three sacred sites. The Neteru who are in heaven, on earth, the four directions. Nesu Mesu are is the terms of they use for the kings and their ancestors, but since there is no Nasubiti now, that is a term for our ancestors. We use for that will be applied for this in that sense. And then we do this for Ma'at in the shrine of Ma'at. You awaken in peace. You awaken in peace.
Dwa R Hrw. Dwa R Hrw.
And
Yes.
you'll be able to find that in the I think that's in the daily ritual of Amun Ra at Karnak.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, that was wonderful. We appreciate that. Definitely, definitely. And we appreciate you both again for coming on and posing some school of thought for us. I hope you guys continue to do that and build thought provoking topics. That will be awesome. It'll help me in my studies. So please get with me if you guys want to do that. I'm all for it. I love it. I love it, love it. Himnetter, could you close us out with a word, please?
So so you're gonna do the ample
The Amasu, well, I allowed him to do the
yes.
closing prayer with that, which was beautiful. So I just wanted to know if you had a word, for the folks before we get out of here.
Not at this time. I didn't plan that, but you can do what you
Okay.
usually do.
Okay. All right. Well, I will say Amasu and Panater, Saksu, Imitra and Panater, Alutu, Aura, Maketipa, Herura. Give yourself to the one most high. Keep yourself daily for the divine, and do it tomorrow just as you've done it today. To our Wintar. Dua for all of you who joined us today. We are thrilled. Love coming here every week. Uh, we'll come up and see what our Himnetter comes up with us next week. As you can see, I'm getting a little bit more tech savvy, so I'm going to just change the principle. The form is going to stay the same. And again, at the end of our sessions, it's going to be more of an open floor for anyone who would like to come in and do a closing prayer. Uh, Other than that, I love the topics. Keep doing it, guys. Keep doing it. Since that's great. That's school for us. Outside of that, we murder you all, Shimmy Ma'at, and we hope to see you all next week.
Shimon
Shema Ma'at.
Shimmy Ma'at.